Can AI replace me? A wand is only as good as the wizard that's using it. I want AI to do the stuff I don't like to do, like answering my emails.
Fawzi, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Osman. Good to be here.
All right, let me read this. Year 2049 is an educational media company helping non-technical people become comfortable and confident in their understanding of AI and emerging technologies. How did this get started, and what are you trying to achieve?
Well, once you read it out loud, I feel like I should shorten that. It sounds too long. Um, but yeah, year 2049 is something I started 4 years ago. It was basically the result of a COVID hobby, of me having plenty of time to read about tech. And also coming from an engineering background, I had like a prior interest in AI and emerging tech. And I felt like I wanted to create something where people who aren't technical, who don't have that background, can learn and understand how these technologies work in a way that's not scary, in a way that um, makes them feel confident in the knowledge. Because the way technology is portrayed is very scary sometimes, especially when we base our opinions on movies or headlines, instead of kind of going more in depth on what's happening behind the scenes. How does this actually work? How does this not work? And that's like the area that I'm interested in exploring, and making technology more accessible to people. So yeah, that started 4 years ago. It started as a series of comics and cartoons that I used to draw. I still draw them until now, but it also evolved into making short videos and visual explainers. So yeah, it's been evolving since.
Um, so I gotta ask you, tech is changing so fast. I mean, as someone who works in the field, I could tell you that we use in practice things that have been out, even if they were out 3 months ago in the tech world, they sound outdated. So how
Mm.
do you keep track of the latest tech and how do you explain it since it's so new? How can you explain something that's evolving as you speak?
Mm. I think what I always try to do is go to the original source of information. Um, and the original source is not necessarily the most popular source. So for example, if a company came out with something, I will go to the company's website to read about it. If it's something technical, I go read the technical documentation for it. If it's a research paper, I'll go read the paper or most of the paper. Sometimes it's a bit too technical for me. So I always try to go to the original source. I think we always see like remixes of content online, so it's hard to see what's been excluded or misexplained. So I think step one, I always try to go to the source. So if it's a company announcement, I go to the company's website. There's also like some famous like scientists and sorry, and researchers to follow, that I try to kind of keep up with, people doing like the research and people in the industry. Um, and even surprisingly, I rely on an old textbook from university that I had for AI, and that's like the foundational textbook for most of the industry. So I think that's a reliable source of truth. And I think especially when you're creating any sort of media, I try as hard as possible to make it as accurate and honest as possible, um, even if it makes it sound less exciting. So I'm not trying to like clickbait people, but I try to keep it honest and truthful, even if it gets less views and likes and shares.
I mean, if I was clearly people are interested in what you're posting. There's a lot of people that are watching. So I want to ask you, do you feel like these are tech enthusiasts or people are just curious? Because everyone's talking about AI. Do people just want to hear what's going on, or are they actually trying to dig deeper into the subject?
I think from what I've seen, everyone's interested in it for different reasons. And there's also common reasons across everyone. First one is, can AI replace me? That's the question that's on everyone's mind. And you hear so many competing takes from experts. Like some experts will tell you, yes, in like 10 years, it can do everything. Some others say in 100 years, it might be able to do it. So even that, there's a lot of noise on these questions. Um, and even the other side of it is, okay, my company is telling me to use AI. So for example, you have companies like Shopify and Duolingo who are pushing like their employees to use AI more. And I think there's a fear of, okay, I need to learn this and see how it benefits me. Otherwise, I'm going to be replaced or laid off. So it's kind of like this two-sided issue, but they're both related. Um, and what I try to focus on is instead of maybe answering the big questions that we honestly don't know, like what will happen in the future, we have so many examples of very bad predictions from the past. Like 100 years ago, people said in 10 years, AI will be able to do everything. And it's still not the case. So what I always try to go to is like, can I explain the first principles of everything? Like, how does this technology work? How does it fail? And how can you make use of it? Or like what you should be careful of. So I try to keep it to like the foundational knowledge that you can kind of translate to different situations.
Mostly, you're balancing two things. You have the content creation and you have the actual educating people about the subject. Because it's not easy. I mean, the fact that people are watching it means they're learning something. And then you have to build something, that's catchy, that looks nice. So are you considering going down deeper into the educational part, maybe creating something beyond content to help people, since this is something that's been working out for you?
Yeah. Definitely on my mind. I've had some opportunities to do some workshops, which I really enjoyed. It's really nice to kind of get in the room with people and teach them something, and then give them that feeling of, when you learn something new and you feel like energized and kind of going back to the first sentence you read, like you feel confident in your knowledge. And I think that's so important, especially when it's something that's advertised as magical or like mysterious. Every AI feature icon has like a magic wand next to it. So I try to explain like, what happens behind the magic wand. And the one thing I like to tell people is a wand is only as good as the wizard that's using it. And I think that's one of my main philosophies when it comes to the education part. And I'd love to kind of keep going deeper into that space. I think there's a lot of people building AI startups, but maybe not enough people building good educational content. Um, and I think I want to keep going down that path.
As someone who's, really focused into explaining things to people, you should have a certain perspective on the evolution of technology. And nowadays, when you look at the big scientists, there's always these two categories. There's the doomers that believe that it's the end of the world and AI is going to evolve to the point where it's going to replace everybody. And then you have the other people who believe in the age of abundance, which is coming. So, as someone who is constantly looking up new tech and trying to explain it, do you feel optimistic about what you're seeing? Is your audience optimistic or is it the opposite?
I think I have a bias for optimism, so I'm usually optimistic about things. I would say the audience generally, from what I'm like seeing currently, it's more pessimistic. And I think it's pessimistic for good reason. Like there's a lot of concern, for example, about AI's energy usage. And there's a lot of misinformation about it too. Even like AI's impact on jobs. You have companies who are claiming that they're not going to hire people because AI can fill the gaps, or like they won't hire anyone until they see how this AI thing goes. Um, and I forgot where I was going with this.
Mm. Yeah, that's okay. So
Um,
you have the bad and the good. So
yeah.
what
So I have
what
the
about the
bad and
more
good.
positive?
And I think the more positive, the way I like to frame it, um, and this is because of my engineering background, I would say. I studied industrial engineering, and what you learn is systems design. And systems design is all about creating something that creates favorable outcomes, like the outcomes that you want. And instead of making predictions, I try to give people the knowledge so they can design the future that they want. Because I think if we collectively have that knowledge, as a society, we can kind of push for the positives. Like we know what the positives are, so we can create those systems, and we can also build guards against the negatives. But I think we won't get there if there's only a small part of the population that knows this topic very well, and the majority of the population doesn't understand it or is misinformed about it. So that's why I focus on the education. Like I want the non-technical person to be as knowledgeable as the most technical engineer. Maybe not at the technical skill level, but just as a knowledge and principles level. Because we can always predict the future, but if we're passive, someone else is gonna design it for us. But if we were aware of the facts and the lies, we can, maybe vote for the right people, invest in the right things, even at work, advocate for the right things. So the educational part really trickles down to a lot of different actions and decisions that you do on an individual level.
And what's been the most challenging part of content creation? Because you've been doing it for so long. I mean, obviously you're super passionate about the topic, but you're doing a lot of research, you're handling different things at the same time. So have are there any constant challenges that you face, something you want to highlight?
Um, I think the challenge I faced maybe over the past 4 years was staying true to myself sometimes. I think I started, in like a very pure and like, okay, this is like my hobby and kind of just creating what I wanted. And I think there was a phase where I started to do things that I maybe didn't really enjoy doing, like a specific type of video, maybe because it did well in the past. So I was trying to recreate it to get like the same engagement. But now kind of return to like my original mode, which I feel like has made my work even better. So I think there's like a path you take when you start making content where you just explore and experiment different things. And I think I realized like what I started with, like my original intentions were the best ones. And even like the format of the drawing, like I kind of stopped doing that for a year and a half in the middle. And then I started doing it again, and I'm like way happier creating. I have way more fun. And I draw every single frame if people see my videos. I don't use AI to do them, and people ask me why. I'm like, I want to draw. I enjoy it. It's fun. I want AI to do the stuff I don't like to do, like answering my emails, for example. So I think what I've learned is to just enjoy the process. It's such a fun thing to do on the side. Like I don't really care if like a video does well or if there's like a mean comment. It doesn't really bother me. I just move on to the next thing, and I just try to get better at it every day.
Fawzi, thank you so much for this genuine conversation. I could really feel your true passion towards what you're doing. I think it's very important to educate people about the topic because of the reasons you stated. I want to just end with this question. What's the next big milestone for Fawzi and 2049? What's the thing you're looking forward to?
The thing I'm looking forward to that I'm working on now is creating long form videos. So I've been just doing short form, like short videos on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts so far. The thing I'd really love to do is make longer, like kind of maybe mini documentaries, if you want, in a way, to kind of go deeper into these topics. Because I feel like I'm doing good coverage at a high level. But I think some topics like AI's energy usage or maybe AI in healthcare, or maybe some of the negatives about it. Kind of going deeper into these topics and reporting on them in an honest way. That's what I would really love to do. That's like the next milestone in my head. We'll see how long it takes to get there because I'm still a team of one. So I'm gonna have to hire some editors probably or videographers at some point. But that's the next milestone, I would say.
That sounds awesome. Fawzi, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, Antoine.